What if I told you these 50 photos tell the full story of my last 3 months? For the past 90 days, I've brought my camera with me everywhere. The lake house for a weekend vacation, walks to escape my desk during lunch, and even trips across the country. This wasn't just about taking pictures. This was an experiment in living differently. Every day I found myself asking, what memories deserve to be remembered? What emotion am I trying to preserve? And ultimately, can a photograph really capture the weight of a moment? Or are we just capturing beautiful postcards? They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. But what if those 1,000 words still aren't enough to tell a full story? What if the most important parts of our experience live in the spaces in between the frames? I'm about to take you through 50 photos that chronicle the last 3 months of my life. Some will make you feel like you were right there with me, and others will leave you wondering, what was I thinking? But together they formed something I never expected. Not just a record of what happened, but a map of how I learned to see again. For this first batch of photos, it was Easter and we were celebrating with our family. Some frequent people you'll see in these photos are my wife, my niece, and my nephew. Honestly, they're just 3 of my favorite things to take pictures of, so naturally they get photographed a lot. All of these images are shot on the Ricoh GRiiX in natural light. I used the positive film simulation and I was really happy with how they turned out. The film emulation has this nostalgic feel to it that I love for memories like this. And a lot of these images were taken right up against big windows, so it just made for this perfect soft light on all of the portraits. Now, one of the hardest parts about documenting your life through only photos is that you're essentially handicapping yourself. It's hard enough to tell a good story, and now you're trying to tell a story and communicate something while using only one of your 5 senses. So you're already starting at a disadvantage, and that became the most difficult part of this challenge. Photos capture moments, but they're terrible at context. They freeze a single moment, but they miss the hours of conversation that led to that moment. Here's what really got me though. What do you do with the boring days? And I mean really boring. The days where you literally just worked, ate dinner, and watched Netflix. Do you take a picture of your laptop screen? Of your dinner plate, maybe even your feet on the coffee table. These photos almost felt embarrassing to include because they suggest that literally nothing exciting is going on in my life. But the truth is that some days that's just how it is. Photos typically seem to prefer beginnings and endings. The before shot, the group photo, and the final result. But so much of life happens in the middle that doesn't always translate through a single image. And I also wanted to write captions for everything, because without context, so many of the photos just felt random. But the whole point of this challenge was photos only, and something I learned along the way was that sometimes just a photo is not enough. Moving on to the second batch of images, we have our trip to New York. Now, I was traveling to the city for a photo shoot, and I was lucky enough to have an afternoon free where I was able to walk around. Naturally, I took my camera with me and got a little bit lost. New York is one of those cities where there's literally something interesting happening at every corner. And in some ways, that kind of makes it harder, because you have to decide what is worth being photographed. The beginnings of summer were definitely in full effect for the city, and it made for the perfect photo walk. A few of the things I was trying to focus on with these pictures were light reflections coming off each of the glass buildings, high contrast shots with strong shadows, and just some pretty colors. Now here is something I didn't expect. Photos can be really dishonest. Not intentionally, but they only show you one angle, one split second, and that might not be exactly how you felt in that moment. Oftentimes, we'll take our cameras out when we're happy, because those are the moments we want to remember. But what about all of the times where we're sad, angry, or even anxious? Our first inclination when we're feeling that way typically isn't to take out a camera. This difference creates a natural highlight reel, where we're more inclined to take photos of happy moments as opposed to the times where we're feeling all of the other emotions. So, these photos tell a story, but it's not the full story. The third batch of photos was from this summer's first lake trip. My thought process with these was pretty similar to Easter in that I really just wanted to capture my niece and nephew. They're both 1 now, and I highly doubt they'll remember any of these things, but they'll at least have photos to look back on. Here's the thing though. All of these difficulties taught me something important about how I experience life versus how I think I should be experiencing it. Photos force me to pay attention to moments that I otherwise would have overlooked, even if they couldn't capture everything about those moments. Maybe the limitations of a photo aren't a hindrance, but they're a feature. They reminded me that life is bigger than just the things you can capture, that sometimes the most important memories are the ones that lie between the frames, that sometimes these important moments can only exist in our memory, and that that's okay. Now, these last few photos were from another work trip to Chicago. We were shooting an advertising agency's takeover of a train station for NASCAR, so I wasn't able to take too many personal images. In between each location, though, I was able to snag a few pictures I was really happy with. Overall, I would say this was a really fun experiment, and I would definitely recommend it to all of you out there. Subscribe if you enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and toodaloo.